follow this ball all the way through. Boy, we saw one of that in last week. Cameron has a shot. It's raining big moments. Umpire suggests that he goes. He does. Gets within 52 metres out. Levi Ashcroft sends a bomb. They've kicked 4 of the last 5 goals. A rare touch for him. Ashcroft got it to Bruce. Out the back. Cameron looking to get over the top. It's marked.
Off to Neale. From 50. Lachie Neale. 3 in a row, Brisbane. Blitzarves has had a huge final series. He gets clobbered in a tackle by Rayner. Advantage paid. Here's Neale again. Off to Ashcroft. No way. What is going on? Right, man. Smith. And there we go again. Rayner, brilliant.
The Brisbane Lions will win back-to-back AFL premierships. Amazing scenes.
It is the Brisbane Lions Fancast. We've only got a couple more episodes to go in 2025. If you are watching this on YouTube, you will see that my co-host Patrick is currently under wraps at the moment because on the 23rd of June this year, this is what he said. And Bruce Reville came in as well. And he started.
Tell you what, his hair has grown.
Oh, yes.
Brucey, the cornrows were down past his shoulders. So, a bit like me. I don't have my hair out very often, but it is quite long. So maybe if we win the premiership and Bruce Reville is playing and gets medal, I will tempt the fate of cultural appropriation and cornrow my hair. If we win the premiership and Bruce Reville is playing and gets medal, I will tempt the fate of cultural appropriation and cornrow my hair. So
I'm so glad that's recorded, and we can look back on that in due course. Here we sit on the 28th of September, and the Brisbane Lions have defied the odds and gone back to back. No Joe Danaher to start the year. Injuries to Jack Payne, Noah Answorth, Link McCarthy, Tom Doedee, Kitty Coleman, Lachie Neale, Jared Berry. The hardest draw, arguably, in the history of the AFL. We've done it. We've absolutely done it, and done it well. Comprehensive fashion in the second half against the Cats. And now is the time to see if Patrick made good on his deal. Because, I'll be honest, if it were me, I would have welched. And I'm happy to say that. I would have welched on this deal. But you could be a bigger man than I, Pat. It is time to take your hand away from the camera and let the people see what we've all been waiting for.
I may be one thing. I may be a lot of things. One thing I'm not is not a person of my word. So enjoy.
Oh my God, he's actually gone and done it. Oh my.
Have a good look.
Jeez, that is some serious work. I cannot believe you've actually turned this around in just over 24 hours. It kind of suits you. You got a bit of like, I don't know, like Post Malone type operation about, yeah, something like that.
I think Post was one of the things I was like, well, it can't be that awful. I think it's also a good tester for when I eventually go bald. So at least then I'll be in a position where I go, well, I know what shape my head is and it's not awful. So laugh it up, everybody. Laugh it up.
This is absolutely amazing behavior, and I can't believe that this show has made you do something like this to your head, but it is absolutely brilliant, and I applaud you. I'm seriously impressed that you've done it.
See, look how long it is.
That's crazy.
So I think probably next week I will have a completely new haircut. So it'll just be the chopping and changing.
How long did it take? And I believe your partner is responsible for this.
Yeah, she absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
We gave it like all of today to do, and I put on the replay of the game. Didn't even get to 3/4 time before she had absolutely just knocked it out of the park. So
wow.
She's one of those annoying people that is just really good at basically everything. So she takes the piss with life, is all I'll say. Anyway, enough on me. Let's talk about this game. I know that's going to be hard to be serious in this situation.
All right, what I will say off the top here is, once again, a massive thank you to everyone. It is Patrick's 100th episode today, and he's celebrating in style. To everyone who has listened across the year, donated, bought the shirt, engaged with us, joined the Discord, followed us on socials, commented on the YouTube, all that sort of stuff. A massive thank you to Hop on Brewery Tours and Crisp Communications, our sponsors for the last couple of years. Amazing work that they do to keep us afloat and keep the lights on. And thank you to those that have donated across the week as well. We got some donations, so if you bear with me one moment while I pull those up.
Before you pull them up, I would like to, in advance, thank them because I was able to buy a shaver. So thank you to them. Very important.
To Matthew, to Lee, to a big shout out to Ziggy as well, who jumped on board, and to Ross as well for their donations across the week. Absolutely fantastic and supporting our show. I don't know if we're going to have much time to address any questions today. Any sort of regular segments that have floated in and out of the show. I think it's all going to go out the window, and let's just talk about the grand final. That was absolutely epic. How was your viewing experience?
Mine was fantastic. So neither of us went to the game. Now we both of us had gone together last year and the year before, but I think just a bit of money stuff, and I'm a creature comforts guy, so I quite enjoyed it from home. I just watched with my partner. Synced up. I had a list of all of the radio commentaries and picked my poison. Now my poison was Matt Hill and Quartermain, which I chose because I like Jared Waitley, and I think Jared Waitley would have been really good on SEN, but he's a Geelong fan, so I went for Quarter. And to me, Quartermain, I don't know, we've talked about this, Brooksy, but Quarters, he reminds me of the 02-03 grand final, that era of footy. His voice is very palatable to me, works very nicely. So sync that up beautifully. Absolutely fantastic. Was very nervous. I was more nervous before this game than either of the other two, I want to say. Strangely. Okay. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why, but and I think it was because maybe in 23 it was sort of, we were there, it was kind of cool, but we weren't sort of sure. And last year we sort of felt quite assured, whereas this one, it was really weird. In all the lead up, to me it felt like two teams that were there was a lot of the same mantras between both clubs. A lot of embracing the week, a lot of, both clubs looked very assured going into it. And it was hard to see where it was going to break for either team, really. And to be perfectly honest, if it was going to blow out, I expected it to blow out the other way, and I thought we'd get it in a close one. So, But how about yourself?
Yeah, I was at home, just watched the Channel 7. I just literally, me, myself, and I dropped my little fella off to my mother-in-law's, and then just sat back in stressful silence and watched it. And I tell you what, the first quarter, of course, was the first half, as we know, you could not split it. Like scores, kicks, marks, handballs, all that sort of stuff was all just dead even. There was so much slipping, fumbling. It was nervous, but the pressure was there from us, which was, as we've spoken about across the year, the one thing you do want to see and the one thing that you can pick up on pretty quickly, that the pressure was there, the tackling was immense, like especially inside forward 50. So we were seeing all the right markers. But yeah, obviously the ill discipline was a big factor from our side of things that were, and inaccuracy as well. That did correct itself across the day, but those two things there was real hair pulling out stuff.
There was. Now, we heard during the week Lachie Neale was going to play. Jared Berry obviously was not going to happen.
After that prelim, it was so obvious that Lachie Neale was going to play.
Yeah, I must admit, so it took a little bit of time for me to come around to the idea of him playing as a sub rather than just, my thought was get him on there. If he blows up, and then chuck Reveal on. Yeah. That's what my thought. Now, I often think that I'm quite good at this brain-wise, but I am so happy that they did it their own way because it was done to absolute perfection. With the exception of a certain later on injury. But that, you can't obviously plan for that sort of stuff, and that would have happened anyway, and, this, that, and the other. So they managed it extremely well. It was a very good in for us. Stanley came in, which was obvious, and to be honest, I think the words that I uttered, I think after the qualifying final of, I think Geelong are a better team without Stanley. That rings true. He's not. There's a reason why they're going after Marshall, not our Marshall, other Marshall. Yes. So, when you look at that in and that out, I was sort of a little bit buoyed by my confidence. Another thing. Now, do you know how many Geelong players were playing in their first grand final?
There was a lot. There was a lot.
10. 10. And I looked at that, I want to say maybe the night before or the day before. I posted it in the Discord and said, shit, I've just realised this. 10's a lot. And I think...
It is a lot.
I think of those 10 players, 2.5 of them were quite, were in their best players.
Yeah.
5 of them were pretty dreadful and 2 of them were serviceable. And... So it was kind of, it reminded me a bit of, you've heard the story about Alistair Lynch before the 2001 grand final, where he said he was watching the footy show and they were going through the matchups and he was in his hotel room and he's like, oh, yeah, I reckon we can beat him. We win a lot of these matchups. I sort of was feeling a bit like that. I was like, well, we've only really got to carry 4 guys that haven't played and the rest will kind of take care of themselves. Whereas... If Dangerfield doesn't have a big one, if Jeremy Cameron gets injured, if Bailey Smith doesn't perform, who's picking up the slack for them? And the answer was no one, really.
Yeah. Holmes obviously had a great game.
I don't think so. I listened to... I went to the other side and listened to Hoops Crew, and his stats look great. But he turned the ball over a hell of a lot, and those 900 metres gained, they came back in a big way, the other way. His game looked good, but it was not a good game.
Tell you what, though, I was ready to absolutely throw something through my TV when I saw Ollie Dempsey alone in the goal square again. Because you think to yourself, all right, I think I kind of like the fact that they beat us the other week. Yes, it's filled me with dread, and I thought, you know what? Geelong's probably going to be too classy here. They showed us exactly what they're made of a couple of weeks ago when they pulled our pants down. But, it gave us a chance to learn. It gave Hugh Cluggage a chance to, work through a tag, and he did that the last couple of weeks as well, and boy, did he handle it bloody brilliantly again yesterday. And the one thing I didn't want to see happen was Ollie Dempsey getting off the chain again, and there he is, just popping up in the goal square, sliming his way in. Just one way running and finding himself there alone, and you're like, God damn, come on, not again. But
we had a plan for him though, and although it obviously broke down at the very beginning, he basically didn't do anything until the last 5 minutes of the game.
When it was dusted.
When it was done, I heard some people say that, of the Geelong of that matchup that Geelong maybe got the better of it, but it's absolutely not. 3 goals in the last 5 minutes of a grand final where you're losing by 60, 70 points is inconsequential at best. So, to go through it, it was a pretty cagey start. It was a long time before the first goal.
It took forever. And you think to yourself, like, at halftime, it's like, this is going to be a low-scoring slug, and it is just going to be a battle of attrition here. But yeah, and then De Koning's lining up, and you're like, okay, this is the best shot that either team's got at the moment. And the commentary, I was watching 7, the commentary's like, if you had to put money on this one, I don't think it would have been paying a stupid amount of money for Sam De Koning for first goal scorer in the grand final. As it was, he it went wide. And, but how many chances did Zack Bailey have in that first quarter? And
funnily enough, I think on my comms, they, Darcy Gardiner gave hands to Darcy Wilmot. And someone said, geez, who would have had Darcy Gardiner? Because I think he should have taken the shot, to be honest. Or I thought it should have gone back to him. But, that Dempsey goal was one of the sort of few times where we were a bit fumbly at times. And we were a bit under pressure. But it settled. It settled fine. Geelong was struggling with the same things. But I think theirs were more the larger scale. Their kicks, Holmes out on the full, and they were just not kicking the ball very cleanly, whereas we were kicking the ball pretty cleanly. Our hands were a little bit not quite right. So
there's people like Charlie Cameron and Kai Loman and stuff slipping over in the forward 50 when they, you think they've got a metre of space on their opponent, and Wills mishandling the ball, and you're like, it's just like those little things that aren't really going our way. And that's just the pressure of a grand final and like the intensity of it and the occasion of it and everything. And it was a very nerve-wracking first quarter.
It was. Our best passage of play was really, well, it was rewarded with a goal. That the sort of chain round on the near side boundary. Fletcher's hands down low, his ground balls were phenomenal in that game. Front to back. We had to see some of the other really good ball handling players grow into the game, but Fletcher was more or less on from the minute go, and he was quite important. And it was, you hear a lot about him potentially going into the midfield, later on in his career. We actually saw almost more of that with Manor being there kind of overload in the midfield contest, and Fletcher was in there quite a lot, and he did a really good job because Manor was pretty well nowhere for large portions of the game. That passage of play, obviously the kick changing Kai Loman's direction, and you're sort of thinking with the amount of slips that had been happening in that first quarter, you're hoping that he'd get there. I mean, he'd been brained at that point too, and that was a worry, but
was it ever?
Well, it was a bit shades of those two finals back in 2021 where we had Jack Payne get kneed in the face by Link McCarthy, and
McStay as well, yeah.
McStay, yeah. We've had a bit of rough luck with injuries in finals, because throw in that, I think in the Bulldogs game in that year, Berry went down with a concussion, and then the following year we had Big O basically ceased to exist in that Richmond game. So it was good that he has a thick enough skull to get some staples put in his face and come back out and play a pretty good game. So it
was a good set shot too.
It was a good set
of course,
shot.
The news across the week as well of Jared Berry. He probably, from what we're hearing, is like at a pinch, definitely could have strapped it up, got him out there, but he sort of put his hand up and said, "Look, it's probably best for everyone that I don't," and decided to pull himself out of the team and just make it a non-issue. And I think, especially with the to and fro with Lachie Neale as well, it's just best not to have that on the table. And then, as we've found out, Josh Dunkley has played through a pretty serious injury as well himself. So, there's going to be another bout of off-season surgeries as well. Like, Hugh's going to have whatever he needs done to his knee, and there'll be others.
Well, Dunkley's set for top and bottom. He's got shoulder and ankle.
Yeah.
So, there'll be others for sure. I think you're bang on. Like you can't bring sort of the shoulder. I mean, we've been burned by the shoulder in lots of times. You know, you can look at. I read an interesting thing. Did we talk about this last week? Where it's like every prelim that we've had someone pop a shoulder, we've gone on to win the premiership the next year. It's now 3 times.
Well, there you go.
Bo McDonald, Oscar, and now Jared Berry. So, not that we want that to continue. As far as hoodoos go, you know, that's one.
Yeah.
The touching of the cup one still goes.
Yeah.
Whereas we've now banished the Gold Coast one. But is there now a caveat to the Gold Coast losing to Gold Coast and going on to win the flag? Is it like you can't do that unless they make finals? Is it sort of like leap years, where it's like a leap year every 4 years unless it's a multiple of 200?
I think you just get rid of it altogether.
Yeah.
Bugger it.
Okay. I think I'm trying to make rules to try and keep something alive that does really not need to be kept alive. But O'Sheen Mullen got away and kicked a goal, and
That was annoying, wasn't it?
it sure was, because he's only kicked 2 and he kicked both of them against us. So
I tell you what was interesting though is probably the word before the game is that Blitzarves was going to play forward and play a negating role in Harris Andrews, and that sort of did happen in the back half when things were already too late and Harris had already found his groove. We spoke about it on the show, and I said, do you reckon Ryan Lester gets first crack at Jeremy Cameron? You said, yeah, definitely. Didn't happen. Dizzy went straight to him and played a phenomenal game. Froggy, his first half, he did so many things so well to about 90%, and would just, like, he dropped a chest mark, or like he'd just miscue a kick or something like that. And like he was doing all this stuff that was so good, and then just the final touch, he'd just butcher it completely. And he's like, oh, you're so close to having such a good game here, Frog. And like the rest of the game was fine. But yeah, he just...
I think he was like the highest rated player in the third quarter or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't buy into the fantasy ranking points and that sort of stuff, but I believe reading the Herald Sun today, which is my yearly, I guess, ritual. He was highest ranked player in the third quarter, but it was a classic example of like reward for showing up continually, because eventually it was going to turn, and it did. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be wrong with the idea of just sending Gardiner to Jeremy Cameron, and that way it kind of enabled, if Dangerfield was going to kind of do weird stuff going in and out of the midfield or coming forward, it meant that they had both Starcevich and Lester free to kind of, you know, look for that matchup as well. And it also provided an extra sort of tall body to be around, just in case, because there were quite a lot of times where it wasn't just Harris being that intervention. It was, you know, Gardiner was coming over the top, or Lester, or they were kind of helping each other. And what a unit they are. You can tell they played a lot of football and a lot of good football together. So I mean, absolute credit to him. Zack Bailey, 4 behinds in the first quarter. Could have won the Norm Smith. Could have won the Norm Smith. He could have had one of the
goal.
He could have had one of the greatest games ever, like ever, in this game.
Yeah.
If he had just like relaxed a little bit, just chilled out, maybe like thought his way through things a little bit more. It is funny hearing people be like, oh, he had 10 score involvements. It's like, yeah, 9 shots. Like, that's where 9 of them come from. It's like, I mean, you know me, I don't love score involvements. I think they're a little bit redundant, but he's a worry, and he's someone that you have to be worried about all of the time. Same with Cam Rayner. Like, you know, Cam Rayner didn't really do a heck of a lot, but when you hear people sort of say, is he frustrating for Brisbane fans, someone like Cam Rayner, where he doesn't do much sometimes, and you're like, nah, it's more fun. It's like a hot potato. You're just waiting for it to, like, you're waiting for the balloon to blow up or something, and it'll happen.
It's that episode of The Simpsons where the Yakuza appear at the house, and Homer's just keeping an eye on that one guy who's standing there silent. It's like, you just know he's going to do something good, Marge. And he does, and then it comes in the back half where he just lays some bone-crunching tackles, just streaming off the back of the square and ripping Bailey Smith's headband off and sending him into an absolute tiz.
They
fantastic.
Clearly identified that, that part of the stoppage as where they were getting ball out, and we're getting ahead of ourselves because it's gone into the last quarter, but, the idea of it being sort of like slightly back and left, they were like, they'd identified that as where Geelong were getting ball out, and they're like, just run there as fast as you can and kill whoever is there. So
and he did that.
But Geelong took an early lead, or took a lead into quarter time, and to be honest, I thought we probably should have kicked 2 or 3 goals more.
Definitely.
We'd stood up. Our pressure was really high. At times, it was in the arbitrary 250s, whatever that actually means. I know it's got each action has a allocated value and whatever, but it's sort of. I thought we were well and truly in it going to the second quarter. Even when Jack Bowes, the second quarter they got a lot of goals from free kicks, and the free kick count was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, but it was there.
I think all of the ones inside 50 that they had were all there. Maybe with exception to the Shannon Neale one, where I think it's kind of hard.
It's a line ball. The one I didn't necessarily agree with was probably the first one that Cam Rayner gave away to Mark O'Connor, where he sort of just ran through him. I don't think there was anything terrible. It was rough, but I don't think it was anything terribly illegal about it. But
we were definitely 5 meters of the ball, wasn't high, and it was a hip and shoulder. So
we're definitely ill-disciplined, and as Kane Corns kept pointing out on the 7 broadcast, just so many holding off the ball or holding the man free kicks that we gave away. And they were there.
Yeah, so what I would say is I think the ones inside 50, they're all there, but I think they weren't called both ways. Because even the Tyson Stengel one where he's getting held by Wilmot, Atkins is also holding Wilmot. So they're playing bloody cha-cha train. So I thought once that kind of gets equalised, we're well in it, because they were getting a lot of pressure relieving free kicks to allow them to kind of progress the ball up the field. And I think that's what really helped them get more of a foothold in the game. So, I've watched the game 3 times, and it didn't feel like it was being umpired egregiously bad. It just resulted in a lot of shots in that second quarter. And I agree. They're there, but just I think there were things being paid, not one way or the other. Or not both ways, I suppose. So Jack Bowes got a goal from a tight angle, and I liked obviously I liked the lack of 50-metre penalty that could have been paid. It's a good thing that Gardiner can sometimes look a bit clueless when he's doing things, which is just, he sort of goes like, oh yeah, well, we'll kick the ball there. So that was good. But then we sort of hit back, yeah?
We did. And as Chris Scott pointed out after the game, they didn't get their game the way they wanted it to, and by and large, we were playing the better footy. We just couldn't really make it count on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and I thought Jack Henry's a really good player. He's sort of him and Zack Guthrie. I know Zack Guthrie had a bit of a nightmare at various stages, but the two of them have turned into really good, tall to medium sized defenders. They've obviously learned from Tom Stewart pretty bloody well. Yeah, and Jack Henry's good. They're good. They're good players. Logan Morris got a good set shot, and Charlie Cameron sunk one from the boundary.
Oh, how good was that? That's vintage. And
it is vintage. Obviously. It is vintage Charlie Cameron.
Yeah. And, the whole year, everyone's been talking about Charlie Cameron, his form. You've got to drop him, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? You kick 4 in a grand final, and a lot of them, when the game is in the balance on the line and you need a team to break clear, and he's responsible, have your shitty home and away season if that's what you're going to get on grand final day.
It was almost a bit of a microcosm of sort of what our season has been. It's been there and just enough, People were talking about our percentage being really low, and, our actual performances being not great, and we've sort of, are we frauds? And it's like, well, we just won the premiership, and fuck off, we won the flag. So, it was the second quarter was a bit of momentum, Cluggage kicked a goal, and then, the Shannon Neale one. After Shannon Neale kicked that goal, because I think people were a little bit not best pleased by it, and you got Levi Ashcroft on the edge of the square.
Oh, and how's the horrific ball drop from Levi as well? Go back and watch that if you haven't. Anyone watching that Levi's on the run, the balk, and then shot from 50. Look at the rotation of the ball. He flicks it forward, and I don't know how it's hit his foot, but it's obviously just gone straight through. It was disgusting.
Do you think it was one of those ones where he over-rotated it into kind of like a rugby conversion? You know how...
Maybe.
Is that going to be the new thing? I don't know. I got the football out for really minimal prop effort there. So, but you kind of hear the thing where former players and coaches will say, ordinarily this player would be good from 50, but it's late in the season, so they might not have the leg for it. This is a kid who is 18, 19?
Yeah, 19, yeah.
Playing his 27th game in his first year, just shelling one from 55 with a bad ball drop. And it wasn't even touched. How?
It was a monster of a kick from Shannon Neale as well from the set shot. That was huge.
Yeah, but Shannon Neale is humongous as well, so it's kind of directly proportionate, You sort of expect Levi to be a bit more dainty on the kick, but he unloaded. Holy crap. So that was a good response, and then Brad Close kicked one to tie it up at half time, and you're stuck with a situation where, what was it, the first level grand final since 1909 or some nonsense like that.
Crazy. And not just the scores, but everything all just neatly wrapped up, evenly poised.
But yeah, I definitely thought if we could somewhat get a bit more rub of the green with the free kicks, we'd be all right. And I think I said that, maybe it might have been to Ziggy or someone was how do you think we're going? And I'm like, we'll be fine if the free kick count is the same for the remainder of the game. So I'm not saying we get 17 and they get 4 in the second half. I mean, if we both get 10, I thought we would win. I never went back to check that because I didn't need to. So
who cares at that point?
But the third quarter, even in itself, was a bit of an arm wrestle until late. This game got blown apart late. But the big news at half time was super sub. Is it the best we've ever used a sub? Possibly.
It's 100% the best we've ever used a sub. It is 100% clear as day the best we've ever used a sub. Instead of just there's 10 minutes left, I suppose we should put the sub on. And when the game's already decided one way or the other. Let's actually put a 2-time Brownlow medalist clearance machine in at halftime. Take off Sammy Marshall, who wasn't having a bad game, but he wasn't having a massive effect either. And then he comes in, and then what does he have in the half of footy? 18 touches, 7 odd clearances, a huge goal from 50. That, I can only imagine how I was at home watching it by myself on the TV. I can only imagine the noise, the atmosphere, the absolute scenes at the MCG when that one went through.
When that happened, I was expecting... I checked, you look and you go, oh, well, there's a vacant goal square, so cool, it'll bounce through. It didn't need to. It didn't need to, just straight through. Arm wrestle early on the quarter, Zack Bailey finally got a goal. In fairness, really good body work to get De Koning out of the way.
Yeah. And just keep the ball in front of him with his foot, and then just a little bit, and then so when he gets the space, he can actually sort of direct it a little bit more.
It was like textbook striker on a soccer field. Get your body in the way, protect the ball, and then put it into the goal hole. It worked perfectly. Well done. You can tell that guy's played a bit of round ball, in his time. Holmes kicked one from a long way out. Good for him. And then we had kind of we had a Loman snap and a Bailey snap that both sort of were come on, dudes. is right there. Like, this is at the point where you're going, okay, it's close, but we're really on top here. We need to capitalize on this to kind of break them. And there was we actually forgot to mention the Jeremy Cameron Dangerfield incident in the second quarter, but I mean, the guy's arm's clearly broken. I don't know if, like, the first viewing, I was like, well, he's been concussed because it's.
Well, yeah, I think that was that was everyone's main concern. Is like he's been collected in the jaw by Dangerfield's shoulder, but then you see him grabbing his arm, and you're like, oh, he's obviously just sort of hyperextended it or something. But you need to get this bloke off for an HIA, and then he comes back on. He's got strapping. Then he lays, obviously a very impressive tackle on Jasper Fletcher, but then you immediately
that's what led to that Holmes goal.
Yeah, you immediately see him just agonized in pain there, and he comes back out later, and he's got like a single bed mattress taped to his arm, and he's got this giant thing, and you're like, oh man, this guy's cooked. And it worked out well because at that stage, Starcevich has gone down with his concussion. We'll have a chat about that obviously as well. It does free up, you're like, oh god, well now that gives Paddy Dangerfield the chance to sort of let loose in the 50, but at the same time, Jeremy Cameron's off, so maybe Dizzy takes that, and he sort of did his role there, and Froggy, they chopped and changed, and obviously covered the situation brilliantly in the end.
But it was when Cameron had the collision, you can tell, because like his arm gets pinned on Dangerfield, and then he actually knees his own arm, and that's what breaks his arm. It's like this weird tangle where he kind of falls and like he breaks his own arm on Dangerfield as leverage, if that makes any lick of sense. But it was a very, that Neale goal was so important within the context. Yeah, and I know he kicked the goal after Charlie Cameron had just chimed in with 2. But it was at a really pivotal moment where you go, Starcevich has just gone down. I don't think he's going to come back. We're now down to 3 on the bench. We got to make hay while the sun shines, because I think we were probably all fearing the outside game, because Bailey Smith and Max Holmes had a bit of the ball, but they hadn't like taken a hold of the game the way that they have in other games. And if that ball had gotten onto the outside with 3 on the bench, you're in a bit of strife. Like you're in a little bit of strife. But I think they were kind of planning for that in the back end of the third quarter, because I think Levi spent a fair bit of time off the ground, kind of prepping for the last quarter at times. But Charlie Cameron, he could barely hit a set shot like early on in the year.
All year.
And he's hit all bar one, but that one was sort of, you're almost, in the last quarter, you're kind of just looking to burn the 30 seconds. So just keep hitting them points, taking the 30 seconds. And by doing that, you're just taking time off the game. So, but Lachie Neale's goal will be immortalised forever.
Yeah, absolutely huge.
And it just, because I don't know if you heard your mate Hoyne.
Is this red time gear?
Oh, red time.
Oh, this is what I was going to say is like, one thing, aside from learning our lessons from getting absolutely pants by them a couple of weeks ago, we clearly knew that Geelong come out hard in red time. And, cheers, Hoyne. What were they? Plus 460 odd points in red time, and the next closest was like plus 200 or something like that. It was just a mammoth amount, and it is part of the reason they absolutely smacked us a couple of weeks ago as well, and we just didn't let it happen.
No, well, I mean, their stats all read what they kicked 1, and then the 4 goals at the end that didn't matter. So they still kicked 5 goals in red time, but I really wish you could like see the stats up to a point in the game. I want the stats up until midway through the last quarter to make, just to see, not for, I know that that's stupid, but we got them in red time, big time. And then to just start the fourth quarter, Blitzarv's got smashed by Rayner, and then Charlie Cameron's having another shot on goal and kicking a goal. And at that point, you're like, okay, shit, like, is this happening?
Yeah. It took me a minute, and it was, I think, maybe Bales' goal in the last quarter, his second goal in the last quarter, and I looked at the scoreboard, and it's like 7 goals, and there's maybe
you go late. Hey, you go so late.
Of course I go late, man.
I called it.
10 minutes left, and I was like, they're not coming back from this. They're not coming back from this. And then after that, we piled, like, Lohmann hits the scoreboard, McCluggage kicks a couple, Bailey kicks another, and you're like, these guys are done. We've just absolutely broken them.
I called it an Ashcroft's goal. I was like, we're done here. Like, it's fucking all over. Which is 1, 2, 3, 5 goals before you, I think. Now, I want to ask a question, because Blitzarv's kicked a goal. I should not have given Blitzarv's shit like 3 years ago about like, I've never seen that guy kick a goal, and he's kicked a goal in every game ever since. Now, he got a 50-meter penalty. How are you supposed to man the mark? Like, how are you supposed to... Like, what are you actually functionally supposed to do there to man the mark? I don't understand. Like, what you're... Yeah.
That just screamed of stark contrast to the first half, where there was 2 50s missed that they didn't pay, and I think they gave it the benefit of the doubt of, it's a grand final, it's loud, I don't know that I've got the testicles to call this. You flash forward to the last quarter, it's like, oh, they're down by 7 goals, whatever. Like, I'll pay them this one.
But I just don't understand. If anyone can actually tell me how someone is supposed to man the mark when a guy gets an uncontested mark in that sort of a situation, it doesn't, particularly. So you had the Lohmann one where Holmes just waltzed across the mark at halftime or 3/4 time, whatever. Where he was lining up for the big tour. What, isn't it like, okay, he's having a shot, so put someone on the mark? I don't understand. Anyway, not worth thinking about. Cam Rayner capitalised on some nonsense. Poor O'Connor dropped the ball. Bad kick from Guthrie, but whatever. Cam Rayner had a good time with it. Cam Rayner getting booed, which is fun. One thing I also like is I like when our player gets booed and our fans don't immediately cheer him in that kind of like the way that people do to Dacos and Bailey Smith, where it's like, oh, you're getting booed, so we'll cheer him, we'll give him a cheer. It's like, no, let the guy be booed. It's fun. It's funny. Like, if a guy's getting booed most of the time, let him be booed. You don't need to come over the top with like polite like theater applause just to be like, no, he's a nice guy. It's like, nah, he's obviously a villain and it's funny and he likes it. So good job, Lions fans, for not doing that. Thumbs up.
I don't think, you'd struggle to find many fans that would sort of try and defend Cam after the
you're not justifying that shit, I tell you what.
But having said that, you could say the same thing about Bailey Smith. I mean, it's hard to justify some of his behaviour sometimes, so whatever.
Oh, don't worry, they do. So, they do.
I mean, I don't mind Bailey Smith, to be perfectly honest. I think he's fine.
Yeah, but you also like Blake Hardwick, and there's plenty of people you like that I can't stand. So, let's not get into this discourse, because, yep.
All right, let's.
Then we just kick goals for fun.
Did we what?
McCluggage decided he wanted to have a 25 disposal and 4 goal game. Everyone was burning everybody, and no one cared. Zack Bailey kicked 3 goals in the end, and Ollie Dempsey kicked 3 goals, and Sean Manor was seen. And one of the best parts in the game, Bailey Smith got tackled out of his headband. So,
and it never came back. And then for some reason, he's decided to just start arcing up at Harris Andrews when you're 10 goals down, and you just decide to go at the nicest bloke on the field, and Harris is just like, whatever, mate, I'm just going to walk away.
Yes, the winner of the Jim Steins Award, might say.
Lovely.
Was good. Did you watch the Brownlow? Because I ended up hate watching it.
Oh no, I didn't.
I ended up
watching like the last 6 rounds, and I think, it was done with 3 rounds to go.
Nice. Yeah, it was fine. I think it was better than last year, but anyway, we can get to that later on, or not get to that at all. But well done, Harris Andrews. And I like the way that he spoke, and particularly the way that he spoke about his inclusion by the organisation, not like me stuff. So good on him.
Yeah.
But yes, good stuff for him. Yeah, they were done. That game was over.
They were broken. You could tell their spirits were gone, and they knew what was happening, and there was nothing they could seemingly do to stop it. And I couldn't believe that for a moment there, I was like, oh my God, we're going to beat these guys more than we beat Sydney. That seems ludicrous to think about. As it was, it didn't turn out that way, but much like the Sydney game, there was junk time goals when we're too busy just high-fiving and hooting and hollering. How's Will Ashcroft at the end, with a minute and a half to go, just like ball in the air, showing it to the crowd and giving it a big sort of, yeah, let's get it.
I liked it. And for anyone saying that people didn't do that back in my day, just go and watch. Gotta get the card out. Go and watch any highlights package of this legend, Daryl White, holding the ball up. Yeah, we basically battered them in about 15 minutes of game time. It was sort of like the 23rd minute of the third quarter through to, when I crowed early, 11 minutes on the clock in the last quarter. They had no answer. They had absolutely no answer. And it was like we kept the ball contained in the contest as much as we needed to, and then only moved it onto the outside when we needed to. We've said basically nothing about Gallop and Morris, but I'm assuming we'll probably just go through every player on the list and talk about how good or
at some point, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
One thing that was noticeable from the very get-go is, and I was very interested to see it, was how Dayne Zorko was going to attack his ball movement from the very first kick in, because obviously it's high risk, high reward. We know that. It's brilliant when it works, and Geelong showed us the exact opposite of what happens when it gets shut down. And there was very few daring kicks up the middle of the ground early on. It was, chip to the side, 20-metre kick, try and force it back in the middle with a safer kick, and then go from there. And I think that, there's obviously a little bit of scarring from what happened, because we knew they were going to be onto it, and it worked well. It worked very well.
Yeah, it is interesting watching back that first quarter. We were, rather than just committing forward, we were actually holding. And it was almost like we were trying to sort of say, well, we'll get the ball past halfway if we can take a contested marker, if we can sort of win a one-on-one or get some run through the midfield without overcommitting. It'll at least keep us in the game.
It just means we won't get torched and blown out on turnover.
Which is what made that Ollie Dempsey goal at the beginning so it was uncharacteristic for the game. And it was just because we had a sloppy turnover and I think a drop mark. And then it just was...
It was a shank from Froggy.
Yeah, poor fella. So, do we want to go in numerical order, or do we want to just...
Oh, God. Yeah, righto. Kai Lohmann.
Number 1, Kai Lohmann.
What a great game. The pressure was up, very fumbly start, like everyone else. Ended up hitting the scoreboard, caved his head in, had a bit of a limp going as well. Perfectly serviceable game.
Yes, I'm trying to... Yes, there we go. I ordered them by number, so fantastic. 17, 3... Sorry?
Fletter next.
Yes. So Fletcher, I think, was so important in the first 3 quarters of the game. I spoke earlier about his clean hands and just the early mark he took, where he seemed to jump about 3 days too early and just take the mark. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's that Jeremy Cameron tackle will be immortalised, but I didn't mind him trying to sort of back himself, and it was good to see him play a bit more through the middle, because he was doing the job on Manor. But he will feature in my votes. So, and he featured in some Norm Smith votes as well. So, yeah, Callum.
Yeah, he was fine. He was largely responsible for Dempsey rather than Levi, which I thought was a good move and kept him accountable. And obviously, last 5 minutes of each quarter, go back, play the behind the ball. He was good. He was really, really good. So yeah, I mean, off into the sunset for Cal, and he'll looks like he'll be playing for Adelaide next year. Or West Coast, one of the two. But he's he leaves a double premiership player and still gave his all for us, especially on grand final day. So yeah, good game from Cal.
Absolutely. I mean, him and Starcevich is the other one, which we'll talk about a little bit after. But you cannot fault their commitment to a club, and our club. So really, really good on them. I thought Archie was exceptional. Unfortunately, it ends up looking like Dempsey had a good game when he was. Dempsey did some funny things that made me sort of think like, if he was on my team, I would be like, dude, pull your head in and put your head over the ball. He went for a lot of little tippy kicks and stuff where he didn't want to go in hard, and Cal Archie was happy to go in hard. And I think that's where the disparity in the performance kind of went. Yeah. But at the same time, Dempsey's only a sort of second, third year player, so it's like fine. He's young, but it's just it didn't. I like Dempsey. I like him as a player, but I just think be a bit tougher. Dunkley,
only 5 tackles. Poor.
Guy with one leg and one arm.
Considering what Paddy Dangerfield did last week to keep him to 3/5 of bugger all, what did he end up with? 10 touches across the day or something like that?
Well, between Dangerfield and Starcevich, I think Starcevich had him at forward 50 stoppage, but I mean Dunkley and there was a pressure act on Atkins on the wing where it was like a 1-on-2 or a bit sort of similar to that Sydney moment from last year. I mean, it was clear that he was a little bit hampered in how his movement was. He wasn't quite covering the ground as nicely, but it just enables everybody else in that midfield group. So
100%.
Cluggage.
Then we move on to, oh god, what a way to answer a performance from a couple of weeks ago where he was severely embarrassed by it, and he obviously took it to heart, and then since then has just played an outstanding final series, capped off with 4 goals in a grand final.
He's now kicked 7 in grand finals.
Not bad, is it?
It's a really he is a big game player. I've talked about this during the year, but I know the 4 goals are inflated a little bit, and I can't talk about Dempsey's being inflated without Cluggies. But at the same time, he did kick 2 goals at times where sealer sort of moments, almost a bit like it felt a little bit like 2001. I don't know how familiar you are with that game where I am, but I think we hit the post 3 times. We're looking for that last goal. Rex Hunt's warming up the fat lady. And he's just like, next goal. And we, Ackermanis hits the post. Someone else hits the post. And Voss slots it from the boundary. There was a bit of that in McCluggage's second goal where it just felt like, yep, we're done here. So good on him. And then he just burned all the teammates and kicked all the goals. So good.
He did. No, good on him. Oh, William Ashcroft. Imagine being 21 and not knowing anything other than, I don't know, just being told how good you are your whole life, being at winning games of football, winning medals, and just born to play September footy. And then, I don't know, going home and back to your hotel room and probably have like a couple of 10s there waiting for you just to see what's up. He's, my God. And, obviously, Norm Smith, second in a row, goal, 32 touches, 10 clearances. Pick of the bunch, though, for me, was that inside 50 to Hugh, where there's absolutely no movement in that forward 50. There's no lead patterns. It's absolutely clogged up by Geelong players. And he just picks the eyes out of it and just hits Hugh, and he doesn't have to move.
No. And I mean, I love that leads on to Mullen just getting run through by everybody after that. Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, I'm so glad that his parents are obviously winners, but they do kind of keep him a bit humble too, which I really like. Like Marcus is obviously quietly confident, but he's not. It's not Peter Dacos.
It's not Peter Dacos. Yeah, just like jumping out of the box and making it all about him.
Which I like because it adds an element of kind of grounding to it. And I understand that, a lot of these young footballers coming through, they virtually say the same things all of the time in all of their interviews. Everything is surreal. But there's a certain gruffness to Will Ashcroft that I like in the way that he delivers what he says. And it feels a little bit more genuine, even though it probably isn't. And maybe it's just because he's our little guy. So I don't know. Make of that what you will. But I think a deserving Norm Smith for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I texted you a little bit into the last quarter. And I just said he's going back to back.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
I thought you just were like off your head and meant to say we're going back to back. So I didn't even understand what you meant.
No, that was all about Will. And I think it was. It might have been. I wonder
if there's any plausible deniability in that, where you can be like, "Oh yeah, it was that if it was, and if it wasn't, then it wasn't that." So
no, because I tweeted at the same time, and you can say that out. I said Andrew McLeod was one of my absolute favourite players growing up, and he's about to have something in common with Will Ashcroft. So, yeah, I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
I forget that you have Twitter. I've never had Twitter as far.
It is the worst website in the history of the internet.
I'll take your word for it. Lachie Neale, we've talked about him quite a bit, but I mean, to end the game playing a half with a stat line that looks like you've had just a good game is pretty wild.
It's
17.
Mental.
What is it, like 17, 7 clearances. One thing, just to go back to Ashcroft, 8 tackles, highest tackles in the game.
Yeah, he was good. He was really, really good.
And they were like Rayner-esque tackles of brutality, which is good. You know, he's getting that mean streak. Neale did it all in a half. What more do we need to say? Not a lot. Levi?
Yeah, he was good. He was good. He was really good, actually. Probably one of his better games.
Yeah, and I think he had some really, really nice kicks. Because Geelong were kind of flooding the corridor a bit, it enabled us to almost play a corridor game on the outside. We were picking those kicks and getting through, and there was some nice, almost like hybrids where he's taking stuff from Will, he's taking stuff from Hugh, his spatial awareness of going, all right, well, I'm here, I'll let him run past, and I'll dish the ball to Oscar or whatever, and it bodes really well, and it's nice to see him play a bit of midfield in the back end of this year to then sort of see where where hopefully he will be going in the future and how bloody mental that'll be. Capped it off with a good goal we talked about, so good for him.
Logie was good. Him and Gallop, both good. Like, just really serviceable, keeping the key backs busy and taking their opportunities when they provide themselves.
I mean, they're children.
Yes.
They're children, and they're relied upon. It's like, you don't deserve to be bearing this burden, guys, but here you are, and you're not shying away from it. Gallop started really well, and there were some moments with Gallop where he just beelined the ball, shows no fear. The lead up to the first of the cluster of goals in the third quarter, where he just beelines through, he gets it to Ashcroft, he gets it to Rev. It's like, these guys are obviously so coachable. They're just willing to do what they must for the team, which is it's so weird, given that, you've had the kind of schizophrenia of Danaher and Hipwood at times, where you're like, which one are you going to get? And this time you just get these two guys, they probably can't. Well, I don't know. Maybe their ceiling is as high as those two, but they give you a more consistent level.
It definitely reminds me more of like a Brown and Bradshaw type lineup in that forward 50 of like solid bodies and genuine good footballers that you know what you're going to get.
And they were pretty good, Brown and Bradshaw. So, it's pretty mental. Mental. Zorko, your man Zorko.
Zorko is as good as always. I mean, another fantastic year, and he's going to go around again next year. It's absolutely unbelievable what this guy's doing at 36 years old.
I'm not even 36, and I can't even comprehend what the hell is going on. It's unfair. It's unfair.
And to play every game, 27 game seasons in a row at that age, and to be performing at an elite level and being so instrumental to the way that we play our game, move the ball, and win games of football is ridiculous.
And I think just as well, it rubs off on the other guys. It makes Wilmot a better player, or it's made Wilmot a better player. It's made Fletcher a better player. It's kind of fast tracked that. There's a bit of Hodge to it in a different sort of a way. Whereas I think now, if you go back 2 years and Coleman doesn't do his knee, I don't think Wilmot's as good a player now in that timeline.
Yeah, but, very possibly.
Maybe that's not right, but I think that it's helped Wilmot a lot because, Zorko, yeah, he's good. And he's obviously good. He's good for the team. Not good for Mason Cox, but sucked in.
Yeah, who cares? Cam Rayner. We've sort of spoken about him a little bit. That second half, huge. Finished with a goal, which was nice for him as well. Kicked a lot on his left.
I don't hate the just complete lack of hesitation to do it. It's good. And yeah, one of my moments of the day was just that tackle on Smith. But
I like the Blitzarves one better. Like, I think the Blitzarves tackle was a better tackle, but obviously the Smith one stands out because of who he is in the context and, the headband and all the theatre behind it as well and the colour. But I think the tackle he just launched on Blitzarves was extraordinary.
The Blitzarves one was pretty... Well, it also dispossessed... Like, it dislodged the ball, which enabled the quick run-through, which was obviously, the 666 that enabled Charlie to just beeline the ball. So you're probably right, but, visual moment of the week.
Yes.
See you later, headband. Sammy Marshall, now, like...
Fine,
I feel a little bit... I feel bad for him because I've been an individual that's been substituted in a grand final that we won, and I didn't play badly. I had my role to do. I did my role, which was to run a lot, and then get out of there. Let the old guys come on and score the goals. And I was really disappointed. I was also like 17, so probably neither here nor there. But 17 playing men's, by the way, not under 17s. So I could see him feeling a little bit not quite as a part of it as maybe he should. And I don't think that he should feel that way personally, but it's a hard thing to tell someone. He's certainly not listening to me, that's for sure. But
like I said, he wasn't. He didn't have a bad game, but he certainly didn't have a huge impact either. And I mean, what can you expect from this kid in his first year? Hey, you're in the grand final team. You're doing something right.
Absolutely, and there's not a lot of difference between what his game was and what some of the Geelong players that weren't able to affect the game as well, that were vastly more experienced than him. So I think it's only going to get better for him, and he'll be obviously far better for the experience. And I hope that over this next group of time, he can feel more in the group, and yeah, good on him.
Definitely.
He's a premiership player in his 7th game or 9th game or 11th game or whatever. So cool, unbelievable.
Ty Gallop, very similar, 6 games and an AFL premiership under his belt. He was good. I just love his follow-up work, his attack on the ball, and his attack on the player with the ball. For a key forward, it's rare to see, but it is brilliant. I really hope he doesn't lose that.
I think he is, if you were looking at kind of making a key forward, there's sort of two types. You've got the Jeremy Cameron, like ranging, running type, and you've got the nugget. He's the prototype of the nugget. If you were starting from somewhere with that body type or mentality or whatever you want to call it, he's the guy. You start there and you build into it. So good on him. He's tough at the ball. He would have loved for him to kick a goal, but he did the damage against Collingwood. So, you know, take what you can get sometimes.
Chucky, we've spoken about him as well. I mean, what a time to pull out your best game of the year. Absolutely huge.
I mean, how many times across the year did we say, well, he can turn a game, so what if he does it in a grand final? I think you could probably find one or either of us or all of us saying that at some point in time, and shit me, it happened in a grand final. So, yep. I mean, he needs to bottle this energy and bottle this feeling and go, well, I need to contribute more during the season next year, hopefully. Please. But no, he was really good. Darcy Gardiner.
What a game. What a game. And I'm so happy he's got a premiership medallion.
I am really glad that, you know, Oscar was one of the first people to make note of, like, hey, not just me, you know, Gardner missed out as well last year. And he's been, you know, him and Frog are not too dissimilar. I know Froggy came a little bit earlier, but they had to deal with a lot of garbage for a long
so
time.
much.
And I think probably Gardner even more so, because Leicester wasn't a backman when we were terrible, whereas Gardner was, and Gardner is one of the players who was like facilitating Harris Andrews becoming the player that he is now, which is really important and probably not even thought about, so much so that I kind of just made that up on the spot, and it sounds good and I think it's correct, because he was there, you know, as a key backman. We had Source Merritt. Was he even playing? Was there any crossover with him and Harris?
Maybe a year, but probably not.
Minimally.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, Gardner was there to help, and you know, obviously Harris has surpassed him and now commands him. But yeah, it's just to play that role for that long, and you know, we've seen him. It's like, oh shit, chuck him forward because we need an extra tall. All right, yeah. I'll go do that. Nah, we need you to go back and play on Kerno in like a prelim. All right, cool, I'll go do that. Like, really? Okay. Like, shit, man. So good for him. Harris, I don't think we need to say anything. He's the best defender in the competition.
I mean, there's been discussions in various media platforms now of like, all right, it's time to start talking about this bloke in the same, you know, breath as Rance and Scarlett and names like that. So, I mean, that tells you what you should.
Well, for such an extended period of time as well.
Yeah.
Hearn is another one as well. I think he's got similarities to that style. Yeah, he's the best defender, and I think he's one of the better people in football as well. So, love that guy.
I'm so glad he's our captain.
Yes. Now, Geelong reject Darcy Fort.
45 hitouts Fort.
Absolutely towelled Reece Stanley Fort, who pushed him out of the team. 2-time premiership ruckman Fort.
Let's go.
It's just, Geelong get a lot of positives for their recruitment. But, I don't know. They probably could have used Darcy Fort in this one. And they probably could have used him last year in the prelim too. I'm sorry, Reece Stanley. You're just not very good. I mean, he looks like a science teacher, and I love that. And I love the little I don't know, he just does all of the correct, he makes all the right decisions all of the time. And that's
once
a really
again,
hard
his
thing to get,
follow-up work and ground level ball, especially in the middle of the ground, is really underrated, I think.
Absolutely, and he's a skilled player in his hands, and it's good decisions. And I mean, the two of them are still going to be here next year, assumably.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens over the next couple of weeks.
But it could be the sort of
sold on Oscar. Yeah.
Sorry, you're not sold on Oscar going around again?
It's not that I'm not sold. I think there's a genuine possibility he retires.
Yeah, it's hard to. The way Oscar talks about it is, well, we'll talk about that when we get to Oscar, right?
Yeah.
Zack
Bailey, it could have been the greatest game ever.
Since Gary Ablett, 89 or whatever. Which, I mean, that's technically VFL back then, so it would have been the greatest grand final in AFL history. He should have kicked 9, which is... He shouldn't have kicked 9. He should have kicked 8 goals, 1. But
it's whatever. Like, his movement around stoppage, especially in forward 50.
What an absolute headache for any other team. And you know, he's struggled at times. You know, we've been doing this podcast for 100 episodes, for three seasons now. And I remember there were serious conversations of, you know, I think in 2023 of, you know, what's he doing? And I was very steadfast, you know. Go on.
It was just, you know, we know what this guy's capable of, and we know what he can do, and he's just not doing it, you know, often enough. It's sort of like once every 6 or 7 weeks he'll have a 3-goal game, and you're like, oh yeah, there it is, and then he'll go back to, you know, going absolutely missing.
I think, you know, I was pretty steadfast at that time that it was something in the system was changing, because both him and McCluggage were sort of not playing. They were doing different things to kind of how we sort of knew them to be in the previous seasons. But I also was very steadfast in saying 17 other coaches will pick this player in their team. No questions at all.
Well, and there's certainly no questions now. He's all Australian. He's almost had the greatest grand final ever. He's getting offered stupid money from clubs already, and hopefully we can hold on to him.
I mean, I think it's just you play that one until you get to free agency and you make the decision then. So, unless you want to try and sort him out a new contract. But I think we need to be very almost like communist when it comes to this team at this point in time.
Yeah.
Which is probably, you know, not the most, I don't know, moral thing to say, but here we are. Your man, Froggy Lester.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. He's one of my absolute favourites, close to all time. Certainly not because he's been a absolute star, but because of the bloke that he is and his story and the 1-year contracts of which he's got another, and just a good, honest man and a good, honest footballer. And yeah, we've spoken about it. He had an almost first half and then corrected himself in the second half and joined in on the party. And I mean, a lot of the backline wasn't really needed to save the world in the last quarter, because it's the ball spent the majority of the time up forward, and he almost got on the end of one. I
was thinking the world was already gone and we'd blown it up out. You know, we destroyed the world. So, which is obviously, that doesn't make any sense at all. But no, he seems to be you know, I've talked about glue players, and he seems like a glue player on the field and you know, within the culture of the group as well. He seems very highly regarded and, you know, very looked up to a lot of the players and that sort of a thing. So it's really, it's I mean, like 5 years ago, Leicester, a 2-time premiership player.
Crazy.
You would have like got me sectioned or whatever.
Oh, all right. Brandon Starcevich, you would imagine, has played out his last game for the club. Has he played his last game of football? He did look over the moon, like he was celebrating as hard as anyone.
I think that I mean, there's two trains of thought. He looked very different to Calamachi at the end of the game. You know, Calamachi was almost like smile crying. Someone said wistfully smile crying. And it's perfect. You know, he's obviously emotional, you know, that it is his last game. I don't know if there are many clubs that offer him a long-term deal now with that.
I think, of course, as West Coast, what did they offer? 900 over 4 or 900 over 5 or something like that. You do have to rethink it. They would have been on the edge across the year as it was with his history. And, I mean, yeah, geez. And you never know. He might get medically retired from, you know, a third party. So it's an option. But I'd love to keep him.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that, his chances of staying at the Lions increases significantly.
I think so.
Which, I mean, to make the best of a horrible situation is good, but it's more like, I think, as a show of faith, let's say that the offers for him are retracted. You would offer him something, surely, whether it's a goodwill thing so he can do recovery, or whether it's, you know, something along those lines. Or, I mean, he's so good, and he's so unique. You know, there's not really, the only player that is any way like him is Bodie Yulin at the Gold Coast. There's no one else that does what he does the way that he can do it. I don't know. I like him a lot.
He's one of my favorites as well, and especially with Noah going to be missing the first however many rounds of next year. It's a hole in our team if he does leave. So I really hope he does decide to stay. It sort of does feel like he is genuinely undecided, but probably leaning towards going back home. And you can't really begrudge him if he's getting money. He's done all that he needs to here to go home and, you know, be closer to family and take some money and make the most out of his career, which is shortening. You'd have to think it's shortening by the day, and with each head knock he gets as well. So, look, he's going to do what's best for him, and he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was good to see him happy. He's having a beer at the end as well, so it's good. Probably not good for the old noggin, but...
Bruce. The man responsible for your current head.
I think you have to... you field this one. I've done my bit.
I mean, what a guy. He's been on that rookie list for a couple of years now, but before that he's just been toiling away in our VFL and NEFL teams for so many years, you know, working at Bunnings, working in, you know, a butcher or an abattoir or whatever it was, doing what and another just good, honest footballer, good, honest man, and gets the chance to play in an AFL premiership with 100,000 people, you know, half of which are screaming your name anytime you touch the ball, uses the ball well.
His stuff through traffic in that game was so good.
Yeah. Oh, how about in the back 50, the smother followed up by the gather, and then the two fakes to get the ball out. And I think the ball ended up coming straight back, but you know, sort of.
So what? So did every one of Max Holmes's kicks, and you still thought he had a good game. So no, his work in traffic, and he's so calm. He's almost got that like Luke Hodge little just balk, and it gets solved. You know, more or less every time. So. I mean, he was hanging on a bit in the defensive 50, but that's all right. It doesn't matter. It's it does not matter at all. So, I mean, so happy for him, and it's just cult hero. We've got a few of them, but he's definitely one of them.
Speaking of, the next one is D. Wilmot.
We call him a cult hero.
Yeah, definitely cult status. This kid's obviously different, and we love him. Do you know what he said in the rooms before they did the song, and he had the beer up to his ear like a phone?
No. Are you hoping that I do, or do you know?
I'm hoping someone does, because I generally, I've watched it a couple of times and I can't make out exactly what he's saying. So if anyone does know, I'd love to hear it. because I'm sure it was nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I've got theories, but I don't know, and I'm not going into those theories right at this juncture. So
I did love how, obviously, when he went up to the lectern, got his medal, and Hamish McLaughlin knew to stand back. He's like, "Go on then, mate." And Monty's like, ah! How good.
yeah, he also wore the hat before he went up on stage as well. It's like, dude, just because you get a hat doesn't mean you have to wear it. Like, you give it to the child.
The Wilmot way. I love him so much.
Worth noting that we did have... Now, don't ask, but we had the highest coefficient rating of handshakes to players in grand final history.
Nice.
Due to players shaking hands multiple times. So, that's good.
And then the big O, the Cinderella story, who obviously missed out last year, but still created his own headlines. I don't know. He didn't have a good game.
This one is surreal. This one is surreal. It's actually surreal. The use of the word surreal is befitting of this moment.
Yeah.
He took a couple of marks. He competed in the ruck. He was barely there, but he was there.
And that's it. He's got himself a premiership medal that he can say that he was on the field the whole game. He earned, he contributed, he got to experience what it was all about, and I'm so happy for the guy. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of weeks he announces his retirement. With everything that's gone on, like, his body's clearly just shot.
Yeah, he looks very lean at the moment as well. He's normally a bit bulkier, but he's said in some interviews that he was obviously struggling during the year, and they tried to just sort of get him going for just this in case this was required. And I mean, it was no Clark Keating in 2003, but it didn't need to be. It really didn't need to be. So I'm so happy for him, and I think everyone is kind of universally happy for him. So that's the boys. That's the team.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up by handing out our votes for this game and announcing the winner of our finals voting, the Paddy. So for me, I went Wash, got the 3. Harris 2, Clug 2. I got Dizzy also 2. So what does that take us to? 9. And then I had Charlie, Fletcher, and Fort.
Now, can you please explain, because a lot of people will watch this podcast that don't ordinarily watch this. Explain to them the voting system, please.
The voting system is this: 12 votes total, 3 votes per quarter, 1 vote per player.
That's pretty well done. It sounded a lot better than when I tried to do it, like an idiot. So, yes. You can have me to blame for that, because I felt like... 3, 2, 1 sometimes can miss some subtleties. So I had 3 votes each to Harris Andrews, Will Ashcroft, and Fletcher. 1 vote to Neale, 1 vote to McCluggage, and 1 vote to Fort.
Okay.
So we kind of barked up different trees there, didn't we? Which is good. That's
we
what
did.
You want.
All right, this takes us to... So, Clug 3...
I guess this wasn't exactly plug and play, was it?
No, I'm doing it in real time. Okay, so that means Harris Andrews wins our finals player of the year, the Paddy, with 18 votes.
Well done, Harris Andrews. 18 votes over how many games?
4 finals.
4 finals of the potential. Yeah,
he had
that's pretty good.
Such an amazing final series. Will Ashcroft second with 16, and I dare say he will win the Gary Ayres award as well, because he was close and will obviously poll maximum, and I think grand final is weighted as well.
So grand final is 1.5. He and McCluggage, I think, were on 13, and Soft Pants Newcomb was on 18 votes.
Yeah. So I think he should end up winning that. McCluggage ends up on 11, Dunkley on 10, Bailey and Dizzy on 6. Rayner,
Gardiner, what a series.
Rayner, Bailey, Darcy Fort on 5, Fletcher on 7, Rayner and Bailey on 4, Berry on 3, Wilmot, Gallop also on 3, Charlie Stars, Zorko and Archie all on 1.
Good job, boys. Fantastically done. And well done, Harris. So, McCluggage won the JB, which was the much more civilized 3-2-1 system throughout the season. And
traditional
Harris
driller boring
Andrews,
system.
Yeah, which is probably funny because I think if we'd done a 3-2-1, it probably would have wound up with Harris, Ashcroft, and McCluggage being the top 3 anyway. So,
probably, yeah.
Well, we're pushing the boundaries here. We might as well.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, like I said at the start of the show, we were not going to have much time to talk about anything else other than the grand final, but we will be back next week. We will talk about many more things, a bit of a season recap. We'll pay a bit more attention to the girls who got a big win today against the Tigers, which was absolutely fantastic. Answer a bunch of listener questions, so please feel free to send them in via socials, email, Discord, whatever. Jump on the website, chuck them in there. And we will continue to revel in this fantastic season of a bloody back-to-back. And now I'm going to go online and get some merch.
You had the chance to say we can reveal in this.
I know. I thought about it, and then I thought, you know what? Nah.
Bit too corny.
Yeah, I see what you've done
there. Oh God, I need to go and get rid of these things. So,
what a time! What a time! Back to back. Unbelievable.
Now, remind me, what did I say at the beginning of this season?
That Zorko should get dropped.
No, come on. No, I didn't, because Kadeen Coleman wasn't back yet. No, I said you're never closer to being back-to-back than when you've just won a premiership. So let's go back-to-back.
That's true. And now what are you going to leave us with?
We're going to belt Hawthorn in the grand final next year.
I like that.
That's my hot tip.